we'll have to keep an eye on here is the drop locations, as we have had some teams who changed up their drop locations coming in. The plane are going to be starting in the southwest, heading out over to the, well, eastern coast of the island, heading out over, well, between, what, Lipovka, basically, heading over top of Lipovka and out of the way. We do have 4 teams who drop Military Island, at least if history does hold up. It's XQF and Fnatic who've been heading down into the Military Island, Mega and DKG to Novo, so we'll keep an eye on that. But this plane path is actually cutting off a lot of the top of the map, and so for our teams who like to loot, or who historically have looted up around the Georgia Pole sort of area, being Cloud9, Omen, 4am are up there as well. Those guys are going to have a bit of a hike. And the other one, in speaking of previous loot locations, Yudo, from what we've seen, like to be up near the shooting range. That is a long way from this plane line, so we'll have to see if they instead choose to go for a secondary looting location instead.
Yeah, it could be on the cards for them. Team Queso, they've got their Primorsk loot location. They might spread out to Ferry Pier. As we see Sol on our screen, one of the favourites from the South Asian region. They've got Mortal, who's an absolute superstar over there. He's almost got a cult following. Not quite as big a following as the XQF and 4am guys, though. You saw that in the introduction. Their fans squaring off in a bit of a chant battle. Orange Esports dropping in as well. It looks like they'll be choosing that Yasnaya area as their location. 4am managed to get themselves on the ground pretty quick. Smart picked up a car. They're going to be playing on this western coast area around about that quarry. So they're going to have a few teams around them. XQF are in the vicinity. C9, Team Queso. We've had our first shift though, and it's a bit of a doozy for those on the Military Island. They're going to have to get a wriggle on and get over pretty quick. Smart.
Now, Fnatic and Mega have not gone down to the Military Island. They're 2 teams who have chosen secondary loot locations. All of our teams who normally go towards Georgia Pole are nowhere near it. So we've got a bunch of teams utilizing secondary drop and loot areas based on those planes. As I say that, it does look like C9 are hitting up that coastal road to head up to South Georgia Pole, and that is where they normally loot. From what we've seen, given the plane path, it's quite uncontested as well.
Yeah, it seems like XQF, though, they're pretty happy with what they've got now. They're just going to spread out, loot up, and hopefully meet up again soon. DKG all rolling in one car. Well, yeah, all of them in the one car on the Military Island. They're going to try and make a run for Novo as they are desperate to find some loot. This is going to mean that they're going to have to get in and get out pretty quickly because the zone will shift, and it will be quite unpleasant when it does.
Yeah, the zone is nowhere really near this Military Island. It's all quite northern, so we will see how that one's going to play out. But as of now, still 15 teams remaining, still 60 players in the lobby. So our first game here at the Peacekeeper Elite Championship is starting off relatively calmly, relatively safely. No engagements early on. We do have Omen Elite and Orange on top of each other looting here, and this is a different one. These teams have normally been looting in opposite sides of the map.
Yeah, but you see, sometimes on these practice scrims, you can kind of read your opponents too much. And now we see 2 teams trying to vie for the same location. It is a big enough spread. You can probably guarantee that once they spot each other, they'll try and run away and play for the later games. Because, yeah, those eliminations are appointment, but you don't want to be the last team to go out. You don't want to start losing players early, as it becomes a little bit more difficult to group up. Once you start playing with 3, it's okay. You can kind of still play your normal game. But once you get down to 2 players, that really struggles.
Can be a bit tricky, but as of yet, no one has gone down. So we'll have to keep an eye out on not only who our first players to fall will be, but who the first team out of PEC 2019 will be. Online here for Mega Conqueror is in a sidecar. I hate this thing with burning passion.
Boy.
I've heard the tip is that if you shoot out the tire of the sidecar, it doesn't tip as much.
Yeah, it does travel a little easier.
Steering becomes way worse, but it doesn't tip as much. And then the ultimate gigabrain strategy is to shoot out all the tires, give up steering entirely, but don't tip over.
Well, at that point, you might as well walk, really. You go a little bit quicker, but you're not going to get the control you need. And if you flip that thing, yeah, get out. There's no point. As we see the Fnatic guys grouping up now, they've had a few minutes to loot up and regroup. They're not running with the most meds or the best weaponry just yet, but you never know. They'll be able to divide and hopefully conquer. As we see Tempo Storm now making their way more central as they found themselves with Pachinki by themselves, which is always handy because you can get looted to the gills in Pachinki. You can see the level 2s all the way through for Chica with a lot of meds to boot. FFQ, Military Island, all to themselves as well. They're going to be one of the later rotators. I think they're going to try and play the zone, play the edge, maybe go for a few kills. Interestingly enough, 4am and Team Queso, they haven't moved an inch yet from that Primorsk area.
They haven't really been under too much pressure just yet to move too far, but you don't want to hang around for too long as they are outside of that zone, as you can see there. 4am are actually heading down south a little bit, maybe smelling a rat. Most likely just doing, well, they might try and find some more loot here. This is some adventurous buggy driving, but either way, they'll be able to grab themselves a little bit more loot of what they can find, and I don't think Team Queso are going to be on the move quickly enough to make that a concern for the 4am guys. Of course, they are a little bit split up here. They've got, I suppose, a 2-2, but it's almost a 2-1-1 with how far a couple of their players are split. So they don't want to have any of their guys running into a whole team at the moment that would put them at a disadvantage in any firefight. So they will have to be careful. But as of yet, everyone's playing this pretty slowly. We're not seeing any incredibly speedy rotations, compound crashing, any of that sort of thing. And while these teams have had a few practice games to play against each other, I'm not going to be surprised if this is the way that the first, well, possibly 10 or so minutes of this game are going to play out. Everyone's just feeling out the competition now that they've had the practices, but they're in the first official game of the comp. Only 8 games to play, 0 points for last place. Unless you get kills, no one wants to go out early.
Yeah, we've seen in other tournaments, we've seen the fact that the games start off slow at the start of the tournament. Teams are just trying to work their way into it, just playing cautiously, feeling each other out, making sure they know the limitations they can push. And then towards the end of the tournament, it starts to get hectic. Teams start dropping on each other. Teams start pushing aggressively earlier and earlier in chase of those vital points, those elimination points. Actually, interestingly enough, you can see on the bottom left of the screen there, the Primorsk area, 4am are still hanging around, kind of gatekeeping. Maybe they've done their homework, and maybe Team Queso is an opponent they've eyed up as maybe some free points on the way through. I don't think they're free points at all.
I don't think they are, but as far as I've heard, Team Queso have been dropping in this area for the majority of all the games that have been played here and previously, so 4am probably have a very good handle on that and might try and pick them up. They almost look like they've got a little bit of a trap set up here with one of their players waiting over by the bridge, but we will have to keep an eye on if Team Queso run into that. On your screens here are DKG. Never mind, Tempo Storm and Orange actually having a bit of an engagement, but
yeah, the VSS,
no real damage put out.
VSS coming out for Spec, a weapon not often chosen. Usually it's Sixless actually that picks up that VSS. He's very, very keen on it. You can see Spec's taking a lick of damage. Might have been from jumping out the car a bit too quick. Don't think he's taken a shot just yet. Tempo Storm, though, that is probably the most central location at the moment.
Orange guys have made their rotation successfully and safely. We'll be able to come up to the compound and do a little bit more looting. With how slow this has been going thus far, and with the fact that we haven't really had any engagements, all of our teams should be pretty well looted coming into the next couple of circles here. Shouldn't have anyone really stuck on SMG shotguns, any of the awkward kind of loot. Because we have had a lot of time with, well, appropriately, for Game for Peace, a lot of peace, a lot of time to loot.
Yeah. XQF on screen, taking over Potato Hill early. Can backfire on you this position. Sometimes it can be quite good if there's only one team pushing you, but it does leave you pretty vulnerable for multiple angle pushes. Something we've heard a lot from the players is the fact that the first team that arrives at Potato Hill isn't always the team that makes it off alive. It is a good position for scouting, but as soon as fights break out, it can be quite easy to third, fourth party that position, just running up the hill as players do get involved. DKG, they've made their way off the military island. Looks like they have made it scot-free as well. They've got 2 vehicles to their name. Some 2-2 split shenanigans going on as Team Queso as well. Managed to find their way out of Primorsk safe and sound. 4am left wondering, I think, where they are, as 4am are still hanging around there with zone at their back. It is starting to push in now, so we will still start to see teams push closer and closer together. Beowulf and Paraboy getting into the action early, uneven, taking a bit of damage. It's not going to be enough to scare him off his line just yet, but Paraboy taking his first shots, and you can hear the crowd getting amongst it. They would erupt if Paraboy managed to get the first knock of the tournament.
Might just get that yet. Oh my goodness me. XQF has actually done it. Paraboy is going to get the knock and the confirm one to Percasas. He's the first player down in PEC 2019. Cloud9, the first team to drop one. The rest of that rotation, very risky when the first couple of cars have already been shot at, but you've got to try and stay as a team.
And how fitting it is the superstar from XQF to pick up the first kill one of China's favorite players, one of the most respected players in the game. You heard from the other pros as they were talking in the pregame. Players like Uneven really wanted to see if he could match up to the skills of Paraboy. Well, it turns out he might get his opportunity a little earlier than he thinks, as he's taken out one of his teammates already.
Now, one team that I do want to keep an eye on here, while we're just highlighting teams as we do have a bit of time, FFQ. Vietnamese team, those guys on this map in previous tournaments, only from a couple of players. I think the data that I've gathered is from like 4 maps, or four attempts at this map, but an average placement of 14 out of 16.
That isn't hot.
An average of a kill and a quarter, 1.25. So given that 8 maps, 4 of them are going to be here on Erangel, on the island. They're going to need to pick things up. We're going to need to see some bigger performances from them. Now, that is only from a couple of maps of play, so stats aren't going to tell you everything, but it's a little bit of a point of concern. Hopefully, they'll be able to prove that wrong very, very quickly here in game number 1.
More of an island team, I'm assuming. Is their stats any better on the old island?
Desert, mate. Average placement of 6, average kills of 3.75.
Well,
so
there you
yes,
go.
better.
They are a desert team. Fnatic. They're going to be hoping to turn around their fortunes as they've managed to find themselves a nice little compound here, actually. This is very central. XQF are going to start to move in towards it, though. They're scouting it out. Not going to take any shots just yet. The Ruins area dominated by the European team of Unique. Not exactly the most central, as you can see on your map now. They'll be looking to push in very cautiously, scout out what they can. Team Queso, they've managed to find themselves the dip here. Not a bad position, honestly, to play from at this point. They'll probably still have a lot of smokes. You can see they've built little compounded cars as well. Haven't blown them up just yet, so they are still able to escape at any moment's notice.
The zone's going to shift aggressively to the north and slightly west. That actually sent us up on quite a few of our teams. Yudo, Omen, those guys who were potentially about to be on the edge of the zone. Instead, it sent us up on them, so that gives them a lot of time to move with. On your screens here, XQF are immediately in the cars on the way, ditching Potato Hill. They're in 4 vehicles as well. This is the best way to be moving around. You never want to have any more than 2 players to 1 car if you can avoid it, to limit your losses. And we saw that with C9 before. If they'd had any more players in any one of those cars, it could have been multiple players down. But Omen here, not really edge guarding as the zone is sent up on them, but Yudo Gank are on the other side of this river as well, and this could be a bit of an awkward one. Sixless surely will have spotted that out for his team. Yeah,
he'll be calling the rotation coming in. He knows there's a team there now, so they'll be watching like a hawk to see that as we see some ships in the night pass by. Some GE moving around. Soul taking shots onto XQF. That's not a bear that I'd want to be poking at the moment.
In fairness, there's not a lot of bears that I would want to be poking.
In this lobby, no.
There's no real safe engagement for any of our teams here. Everyone you shoot at to shoot back. There's Sixless
with the car knock.
On the snipe. Going to drop Jax from Yudo Gank. Let me just figure out how to say letters real fast. Synergy actually hunkered down behind a rock, getting some shots into Mega Conqueror, but see if he's not able to find anything just yet. His teammates, though, are helping out. Mega going to lose one there as well.
To confirm as well, as Stoned is out. He's going to be able to take a break, charge the phone, and put his feet up. That is 2 teams now down to 3. The action hasn't been too heavy just yet, but we're starting to get into it as the second zone starts to encroach. Some teams in good position at the moment. Seoul have managed to find themselves that good position. We saw that earlier.
Yudo have picked up their 4th player who got knocked there, by the way. So they're back to full strength and back on the way. Once again, a lot of our teams are just avoiding conflict here. We haven't really seen too much gunfights. We've had a couple of pokes at some rotations, but that's about it. We're yet to see 2 full force teams fighting each other in a compound around some cars, whatever it might be. It's mostly just rotations that we're spotting out. So have to keep an eye on where the first gunfights of this tournament will be kicking off. But for now, it looks like most of our teams have found themselves some cover, found themselves some decent positioning inside of the zone.
Yeah, Seoul is a position I want to bring up with their position at the moment. They're weak to a compound crash with this split, but at the same time, they are well and truly prepared for the zone at the moment. They're taking up so much room, so teams will be very hesitant to compound crash in because they'll hear the fire rain out, they'll see the players, and think that, oh, this compound's occupied. So there's going to be a lot of second guessing when approaching Seoul at the moment. They could get some good crossfires too, and if they do get crashed, they're only going to give up 1 player because they are spread out so far. Seoul at the moment, they control the majority of the compounds that you really want to see. So their game could be a good one to start off, and they need it. really. They haven't had the best performances internationally recently. As we see, FFQ, they made their way all the way in from the military island, and they are still in rotation too. They're still in the zone. It's going to take a while for them to get in. It looks like the fourth player will just get in now, so that will end the damage to the shield. It's Carnage looking out with that DP. It's very, very deadly versus those vehicles. They'll know now who exactly is across the river for them, as Sixless did manage to take a head off earlier.
That enemies around thing is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Sure
it's fantastic.
That, but they've got 230 meters of safety around them, so... Well, I mean, for one thing, that's good. You got yourself a bit of time, but on the other, you're pretty much only going to be getting sniped at, and that can be a little bit dangerous if you're not ready for it, but those guys will be hunkered down, taking that cover. Team Unique here on your screens from Europe. Spread out across a couple of buildings at the minute. They are looking to jump into some vehicles here. C9, one of our 2 3-man teams in this lobby right now. Sitting on top of the hill here, across the way from Team Queso. Need to be careful with those guys. But C9, I think at this point, are just going to look into bunker down and play into the later game, as you did see it in our point breakdown before. But just to reiterate, if you did miss that or you've forgotten, the last 3 teams who go out get 0 placement points. 10 through 12 only get 1, 8 and 9 get 2. It's not until you get into the top 7 of 15 that you start getting more than 2 placement points.
Yeah, it is quite concerning as well, as Suck from 4am has taken a blow to the chest. I believe that is XQF and 4am poking each other. So to see those 2 teams go on early would be quite nice. An M24 shot comes out, and that's going to take Sixless's head off. So a bit of return fire.
That's direct revenge, because Sixless knocked Drax earlier.
But that, I reckon, might be where the first engagement kicks off around there. They've been poking each other for quite a while, and some teams are now starting to rotate into that action as well. FFQ are in the area on the back of those Udo guys. It's more shots raining out. This is Team Queso trying to defend their little compound, or their little car compound they've made. As you see, Drax now, that M24, he's got a second knock onto Tucker. FFQ have not been able to find a way into the zone safely just yet. They're meeting resistance on that long rotation. Tucker should be fine though. He should be able to get picked up here unless Unique come and find him on the floor.
Yeah, unless there's like the greatest grenade ever thrown from 2 kilometers away, which I doubt. Should be all good to get that res back up. So still only 2 of our teams who have lost a player. The zone will shift to the southwest. So pretty much gifted towards the likes of 4am, Sol, Mega. They're all towards the center of this. DKG only have to move a little bit, and they are coming in on the eastern side of the circle there. You can see it on your screens. Not really too many of our teams have to move too far, actually. Unique, Omen, FFQ, Udo all have a bit of traveling to do, but not too far. Udo actually going north of the lake as well, so they're going to be going the long way, potentially coming in on the flank there, so keep an eye out for that. Unique rotating past XQF is risky. Very risky. Yeah, the circle was quite friendly, wasn't it, the shift? There's a lot of room in that northern side that teams didn't want to occupy just because there was water there, and water is scary. And Peacekeeper, well, that's a nice shot. Jump in the car.
All right,
well.
Drax.
Goodness me.
Settle down. We've seen some nice sniping earlier, and that's not something we usually see. A lot of the meta has been they're using these M4s or these, here we go now, a spray coming in. No, not quite with an M4 though, it's a 7.62 weapon. But we see the spraying being the meta at the moment. So to have these players now using these Kar 98s, these M24s, bit of difference, but a welcome difference, I'd say, as these sniper shots make for great highlight reels. You see a DP knock come out. This is Team Queso on to Synergy. It's quite a distance too, that knock. It looks like he's managed to get over the little ridge line there, so he might be safe. I don't know if he's got friends though. No, he doesn't have
No, they're
friends.
going over to him now.
Yeah.
Something we've seen a lot of from Team Queso here on your screens in the bottom is they do like very much to make their own compounds out of their cars, hiding in a gully or a ditch somewhere, rather than risking trying to take one of the big compounds. A lot of the time, they do feel more confident making their own cover, and that's something we're seeing quite a bit of, and it can certainly work, as you're rotating around, you're generally keeping an eye on the compounds around you. You know roughly where the good hills are going to be. You have an idea of where you're going to take fire. If Team Queso are just setting up wherever they feel like, using their cars for cover, then all of a sudden, you've got all these extra angles to worry about that you might not expect. So, have to keep an eye on that. FFQ going very, very close to Udo gank here.
This could be our first little
Just
compound crash. The shots rain out, and that will scare FFQ off it. Chopper looks like he's heading for the hills. He's crashed his car, though. Parked up. Might get a ticket there. Chopper's actually hopped in a different vehicle. He's now on the move. Chopper's gone down. Tried to pinch a UAZ there and didn't quite get away with it. So FFQ now down to 3 for themselves. That dastardly rotation all the way from Military Island. I feel for them. It's not the funnest way to start off your day, as Stork has pulled a nade, but unless he's got 300 IQ, he's not pulling that one off, and he doesn't. Falls short, in fact, so not quite the nade that he was looking for. One of the players did manage to sneak in, as Tucker and Hades are in the vehicle looking for another place to call home. It looks like Dali will be left alone to the Wolves. Very cautiously poking their way in now, as we see on screen the two Chinese giants, XQF and 4AM, the fan favorites. They're so close to each other, but I don't know if they know each other's there just yet. They obviously don't have an idea because they know where each other rotate quite frequently, but there's been no knocks between those two teams. As I say that, now Paraboy's got his second knock of the game onto Suck. Suck should be able to find his way to safety, get revived, but Paraboy has started off pretty well, I'd say. His damage stats will be insane.
Yeah, he's found himself a kill and a couple knocks, so he's doing very well off the start of things here. But once again, things continuing to be slow.
Oh, they've got across the bridge for free here.
Sixus is actually in a bit of a sneaky spot, crawling around on the rocks.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Yudo to get across the bridge there for free. I thought that for sure there'd be an engagement.
Ooh, okay. So the circle, once again, is going to go east, and that's going to force a lot of teams out. XQF and 4AM, who were poking at each other, have immediately given that up. XQF are very, very quick on the rotate into their cars as soon as that circle pops, and on the move. Fnatic rotating right past XQF on the hill here. This could be risky, but it looks like they've just about avoided the firing line there. Very near thing for Fnatic though, and hold on, there's still another player here. Here's the buggy, getting the gun out. Not quite able to find the shots. It's a very near thing. It's Scatto. He has more running to do before he's safe just yet.
DKG also on the same rotate as Fnatic at the moment. There are cars everywhere. It's a bit of a clown fiesta. They're going to be making their way into the zone as fast as possible, you'd think. You always start to sweat though when you see a player in a buggy being lined up for a spray, because there's not a lot of head protection in those things.
No,
Scout, very lucky.
Air.
Yeah, all tubes, all air. So DKG will rotate on the road as we see Ash from Fnatic getting knocked by one of the Synergy players who had some problems with Team Queso earlier, but they've managed to settle their differences. And now they're finding themselves occupying the same territory. Everyone's running over the top of Team Queso essentially. And Team Queso are taking shots back. You said their compound of cars. They haven't blown them up yet though. They're still being so patient with that.
I mean, you don't really want to be anchoring yourself in place this early on and limiting yourself to foot movement only. Synergy, they look like they do want to go and fight this. And DKG coming in from the other side as well. This is going to be a pinch onto these Team Queso players. They do have the cars for cover. They're getting some smokes out as well to try and buy themselves some space. But nonetheless, it's still going to be a little bit awkward. Elsewhere, Oman Elite getting stuck into Unique. Wi-Fi finding a knock there as well as Synergy are on the way in.
That's right on the edge of the zone too, as Wi-Fi has been knocked by Unique's old boy. So you can see the action is breaking out over there. Oh, Zute actually pushing up very aggressively. This is the IGL getting right into the mix, and he looks like he's been spotted and taken out early. He's been finished off too. So Omen down to 2 at the moment. Wi-Fi is being revived. Unique have got the better of this location at the moment. Omen now with all the work to do to get back inside the zone. Synergy E crashing into Fnatic, and Fnatic looks like they're worse for wear. That's might be 3 players down from Fnatic. They are 1 man strong at the moment.
So they're looking very
just the scout. He's got 5 nades in his bag too. He's throwing them out. It might be good here actually. Synergy E players need a skull. That might be a little bit damaged. Not quite the knock though. He has given up his position. No tires on that buggy too. He's going to have to get in the shack and hide it out with the bear hat on. So Louis still look good doing it. Unique though. They've run into Yudu, who were previously getting AK'd by Omen. So this 3-way fight's going on, and Yasha has been taken out. So Omen getting a little bit of revenge. These 3-way fights though, breaking out all across the map. It's so hard to catch all the action. Sixtus gets knocked out by Rain. Some NA on NA action early on. We saw that in previous tournaments. Those two teams going right at it. Sixtus is being taken out, and that might be Omen out and done. It is Unique, in fact, that are gone. So they are the first team to leave us in the PEC. And Omen will follow shortly after. So not the start that Omen and Unique were looking for. After finding themselves in a tricky standoff for a majority of the game, they both fall rather quickly. The zone shift, though, it has been quite generous for the side of C9. XQF find themselves inside the zone as well. On that southern side where Team Queso were found. Oh no, that's a disaster for them as 3 of their players go down very quickly. The 4th AR knocked down. It looks like a car accident did happen. Scout now being pressured out, and he looks like he's down too. XQF managed to clean up the point for that one. Synergy E are going to crest the hill.
We just lost 2 more teams, by the way, there. Queso and Fnatic both gone.
That's scary stuff. The action does break out pretty quickly once it starts kicking off. Synergy will now collect the loot or the spoils of their victory, but XQF is next in line, and that's not a fight that you want to be taking. Rain under immense pressure from the remaining players from Yudu. All 4 of them are up. Tempo 3 strong. Rain's managed to find himself a little bit of respite at the moment. His teammates are on the other side, so there could be a little bit of a pinch going on. But Rain is in struggle street, really. I don't know how he's going to manage to get himself out of this situation.
It's not looking easy for him at all. And Yudo Gank are stuck in cars and smokes at the moment, trying to split, have some sort of cover. But Viper's getting involved with a mini in hand.
That's helping out.
Well, it's going... Jules going every which way is what I'm trying to say. Orange just took a couple of casualties as well. More of our teams now starting to bleed. FFQ down to 2. Orange 2 with 1 knocked. A couple of our teams with 3 players as well. Never mind, Orange go down 2-2 as they do get that one confirmed. So now things are starting to get a little bit more chaotic as the circle shifts closer. A lot of our teams all grouped together on either side of this, the left and right-hand sides of the zone, both full of teams. 4AM are actually going for a push up onto Seoul. Yeah, this 4AM Seoul fight is going to be deadly. 4AM got the first knock onto Aman, and as soon as that comes out, they start moving. Seoul still haven't managed to pick up Aman, and 4AM, they smell blood in the water at the moment. They're moving. This is going to be a 2-2 split engagement for them. They're actually going to split off now as they've got the surround. How are Seoul going to react to this? It doesn't look like very well. No, they get the first knock in the fight, but it's going to be trades coming out as Seoul is wiped out with an instant. Yudu from the flank managed to pick them off. 4AM get 2, Yudu get 2, and Seoul, they get 10th place. Orange are out as well in the middle of that, so things getting a little bit awkward for everyone here as we do lose a couple more of our teams. And now we are starting to move up into the actual placement points, or the placings that have points attached to them, I should say. 2 points for the next 2 teams that go out, 3 for 7th, and increasing above that all the way to 16th. Drax going to be picked off at long range here by 4AM and confirmed as well. Just not able to get around into cover in time. This could be Yudo Gank parting with us here as their cars are blowing up. Their cover is dwindling. This is looking pretty awkward as 4AM have them locked down. Yeah, this is where 4AM start to accelerate. This is the Thanos circle. Circle 6, it snaps the lobby in half when half the teams go out. 4AM on the charge. They started with Seoul. They looked like they were going to eye up Yudu, but they've chosen to disengage off this actually and try and take better positioning. They are going to use the cars to close the gap. They know that Yudu's going to be healing up a little bit here. They are worse for wear. 2 players locked down from one. Huxley, the run over doesn't quite happen, but he's going to go for a front, but he doesn't manage to connect him either. Now he's in a bit of a tricky situation. The turn comes out. 1 player from Yudu up. He goes for the drop shot. Does manage to collect it. 4AM lighting up Yudu, but there is 3 players out on the deck for 4AM, and they've been confirmed too. So 4AM are only 1 man remaining. That compound crash did not work out. Meanwhile, Paraboy with a double nade onto Synergy E. Paraboy now with 3 confirmed kills, and he's looking for his 4th. That leaves Synergy with just the 1 player remaining as well as XQF start to put the pressure on here. Moving through the smokes, they've got the vehicles in hand, trying to find some more kills. They're actually split between the last players remaining of Synergy. 1 knocked. Uneven's taking some pressure as well here from XQF as now the damage is starting to kick off for them. Cloud9 will lose another player, or at least get 1 more knock, not confirmed just yet. But our Chinese teams here putting in some serious work in the late stages of this circle. So many teams with so few players left, but cover's still going. And yeah, Paraboy once again popping off. Yeah, he's popping off. And XQF are tearing through Synergy, and that will be them gone. But team that's been where we've been sleeping on is Yudu Gank are up to 11 points off kills alone. That is a lot of kill points to claim in their first game. Good showing. Beowulf on the flank though has managed to find XQF slipping a little bit. He's managed to get 1 knock. Strider gets another knock from the grave. Cool Boy on the deck. Paraboy up still, and he's the danger man. He's got Uneven in his sights, and he's put him down. So that early exchange of words, Uneven calling him out in the interview, and
He got his wish. He got a duel with Paraboy, but he ended up losing it. Beowulf stuck behind a tree. That's not where you really want to be at the moment. Paraboy is on the charge. I heard great things about Paraboy, the legend of Paraboy. I didn't expect it to be this dominant, though, this early on.
Yes, it's looking very good here. 6 kills so far for XQF, doing very well for themselves. Paraboy with a couple of them. Judo Gank here with 3 players up, actually sitting in first place in the lobby at the minute, 11 points currently. I think a lot of that does come down to that failed 4 AM crash on them. That did give them a couple of kills there, but now they're stuck between multiple teams. DKG, Tempo Storm behind them as well.
Yeah, DKG is going to start to collect these kills onto Yudu, you'd think, but no, the suppressing fire from Man is over the top. The nade comes out. That's might go a little bit too far, in fact. No, it's actually bounced off, so Fredo's on the deck. Manpring is very, well, he's in struggle street as DKG. They've lined up Yudu, and fortunately, for DKG, they've been delivered these kills as Yudu had to rotate eventually, but no, Jumper has managed to get the spray onto Crazy, so they're not going down without a fight. FFQ joins in on it too, manages to snake that kill. FFQ rotated all the way from Military Island. Now they've been spotted, and Moxon from DKG, one of the last Chinese teams remaining, has managed to collect 2 there and knock out FFQ. 3 points for you, son. 4 points now for DKG. They're down to 1 player. It is only Moxon remaining. 1 player from Judo Gank are on 12 points. Tempo have 2 and the rest have 3. Cloud9, Mega, XQF, all 3 strong. You can see they're all occupying the same side of the map. This is going to help out the teams with the solo snakes.
Still a lot of time left to work with for these guys, though. A lot of movement's been made by our teams of 3 who currently stand outside the zone too.
XQF have dropped their backpacks. They're starting to snake, and they've managed to find Mega. They're trying to get a little bit of a surround here, I imagine, as Order will be calling out where exactly these Mega guys are, and he might go for the spray early. Mega just get behind that car. Pons drops to the deck immediately as he senses danger. The snake has been given up, essentially. His Order online actually finds him. Heat-seeking missile almost comes out. That's going to be difficult to revive as well. Order might be down for good here. It looks like at the moment he's taking a little bit of fire. It's going to be a hard one to revive. I don't think he will. He'll try and crawl over to Paraboy, but I'll be very surprised if he's managed to get him up.
C9, of course, over here on the left as well, are looking towards this fight too. Jimmy going for a very risky run there, but did have the smoke behind him to give himself that bit of cover, and he will stay alive. Paraboy getting the res of the Order, so will get XQF back up to 3 strong, just barely.
As Yudu
Gank go out as well, but 12 points for them.
That is a good way to start. Double digits on the kills is always where you want to be. Strong start from Yudu as the nades start to ring out onto Mega. They are in a bit of a sticky situation. Chica goes down to the zone, but Mega, they are getting shelled by nades. Paraboy collects another one. He's got 3 nade kills so far if that one gets confirmed down. Another nade from Paraboy. That's the 4th nade kill of the round. Online, the last remaining from Mega. He's going to get spotted out. No, he manages to get the knock onto Paraboy, but an easy trade for Order rings the defeat of Mega, and XQF continue to roll on. Paraboy should be able to get picked up here if they're quick on the buzzer. Now we are into our top 4. 8 players remaining, and Uneven's been spotted. This could be the end of Tempo Storm. They're down to 1 player as Uneven will be confirmed down by Moxon. Just drops his box. Cloud9, they were in a bit of a dominant position, but now with only, well, 2 players up and 0 kills to their name, they're going to be struggling for points as Pyra goes down too.
That's a straight up confirm. It's Paraboy again who's popping off here. So much damage done by him. 7 eliminations this game alone. Very, very hot start for him and for his team. Currently sitting on 10 kills in total. 1 player remaining for each of the remaining teams. DKG, Tempo Storm, Cloud9, all with 1. XQF in the driver's seat with 3. It's been a very, very good start for them. They are now looking to close it. And we are down to this final shrink as well. No more safe spots. Eventually the zone is going to start to move, and it will not stop moving until we have our winner. At the moment, XQF sitting in a pretty damn good spot.
Moxon's been taken out, so now we have 3. It is 2 NA teams versus the Chinese hope of XQF. Beowulf's been spotted and taken out now, so it is just Nico from Tempo Storm alive versus the might of XQF, and Jimmy, Paraboy and Order. They're going to feel confident going into this versus the solo snake. Nico not even on full HP. Should be an easy clean-up and an easy victory for the side of XQF. They are going to take it quite slowly, meticulously clear out every angle, work their way forward with the snakes. You can see the crowd popping off in the picture-in-picture. They are very happy to start the tournament in this fashion.
Very happy indeed. It's just one from Tempo Storm who stands between them and victory. It's Nico here, hiding in a bush, doing his best. Paraboy behind the bush, using his third-person camera angle to try and spot out this last remaining player. His two teammates snaking, looking to spot him out, and they've found him as well. Nico, there's nothing he can do. It's XQF. One of the hometown teams will stand up with game number 1 for themselves. 12 kills, I believe. 13 actually with that last one.
Yeah, 13 kills plus the 16 placements. That will bring them 29, and that's a fantastic way to start off the tournament for them. They're going into this pretty hot favourites, or one of the hot favourites. Them at 4 AM were the big ones that we've been hearing about all week. And they did not disappoint. Paraboy, though, what a stunning start. 7 kills from him. That's going to be hard to catch. I reckon he might be in the running for one of the top fraggers. Didn't quite see some of the other star players stand up. Mortal, Scout, Sixless, they all didn't get involved, but plenty of time for them to pick it up.
Exactly that, and it's XQF, the hometown boys, who do grab themselves the match number 1 victory. And, I mean, 7 kills in one game is a lot. That might, I mean, of course, we've still got a bunch more games to play, but that's a pretty tough record to beat in terms of single-game elims for any one player in this tournament. Let's see if anyone can equal that, but regardless, a very, very good game out of XQF. They didn't even look like they were in too much trouble at any point in that. They had 3 alive pretty much the whole way through after losing their first player and looked